Hello, this is the Bible in fewer words. We are Carol and Steve Wells. This is episode 149, 2 Kings, chapters 7 and 8. If you enjoy this podcast and the Skeptic's Annotated Bible website, consider supporting us at patreon.com/BFW. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Carol.
Do we have any prefatory comments to tell our listeners?
Well, yeah, I made a mistake last time.
Oh, and we're telling them that?
Yeah, I said that the next episode, which is this one, is going to introduce Jehu. Remember that?
I do. And I said, who? And you said, Jehu.
Yeah, that's who. But we have to wait until one more episode.
Oh,
He's not going to show up yet.
Till 150, episode 150, we'll see Jehu.
Yep.
All right. So this is 149, and it is more little stories.
Yes, it is.
All right. I'm ready for them. Are you?
Uh-huh.
Great. Chapter 7. After the famine that God sent on Samaria, Elisha said, "This is the word of God. Tomorrow, at about this time, a measure of flour and 2 measures of barley will each cost a shekel."
So remember we were having a famine in the last episode.
Yes.
And it got so bad.
That a horse's head cost...
I think it's his donkey's head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cost a lot of money, and so
80
did...
shekels, I think. Yeah. And a little bit of dove's dung.
Poop. They're going to eat poop?
Poop in donkeys' heads.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was going to cost them a lot of money. Things were so bad. God is saying, through Elijah, that tomorrow, about this time, you'll be able to buy a measure
of flour
barley.
and barley.
Yeah, for only a shekel.
What a deal.
Yeah, so things are looking up.
Yeah.
An officer of the king replied, "Even if God opened the windows of heaven, that wouldn't happen."
He's doubting God?
Yeah, even if it rained, because I guess it hadn't been raining and that's why they couldn't grow any crops.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it started raining now, that's not going to happen.
No. There isn't going to be barley and flour on the shelves at the grocery store tomorrow.
No, it's not. We'll still be eating donkey's heads.
Elijah said, "You'll see, but you won't be around to eat any of it."
I'm leaving out a few verses here.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, the idea is that the Syrians are back. In the last episode, the Syrian army was blinded, came to Samaria.
Got their sight back.
And then Elisha sent them home, and then it says they never returned again. Well, they do apparently return again. They're back now.
Okay. And they have an army, and so their plans are to attack.
Yeah, and they have an army. But God made the Syrians hear the sound of chariots and horses from a great army.
So they actually didn't see them. They just heard.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, and so they're kind of freaked out. And they're saying, "Hey," the Syrians said to one another, "the king of Israel has hired Hittites and Egyptians to attack us."
So I guess they could tell it just from the sound.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like Hittites and Egyptians to me. Okay, so the entire army, that's the Syrian army, left everything, including their horses and donkeys, and ran away.
That is a lot to leave behind.
Yeah, and you'd think they would take them. It'd be faster to get
away.
Yes. On horseback, but okay.
So the Israelites took everything that the Syrian army left behind.
And a measure of flour and 2 measures of barley, each sold for a shekel, just like God said it would.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Like God talks and things happen.
Yeah.
So verse 17. The officer who doubted Elijah's prophecy about the price of flour and barley was trampled at the city gate, just as Elijah predicted. So, he said, even if all the windows opened and it rained, there wouldn't be time for wheat and barley to grow.
Yeah, there's a moral here, I think. Prophet says something, it's going to happen.
Uh-huh.
You need to believe it. Don't be doubting it.
Or the Lord's going to get you.
Yeah, you might get trampled to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so chapter 8. Elijah said to the woman whose son he had raised from the dead, "Get up and go somewhere else. God is going to send a 7-year famine."
So we just got out of one famine. I guess he's going to send another. Right?
Nice guy.
Yeah, 7-year famine.
Uh-huh.
This is the same woman that Elisha had.
He used to stop there when he was traveling back and forth, and she
Yeah.
used to put him up and feed him, and
Right.
yeah, and then he said, "Hey, what can we do
I
for
think
her?"
he actually there was a miraculous birth there.
Yes.
And she had a child, and then the child died, and then Elisha brought him back
To life,
in
yes.
that rather dramatic way.
He waxed warm, if I remember.
He did, sneeze 7 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the 7-year famine was over, the woman returned.
I guess the point of this story is that God had this famine, but it didn't affect everyone. It must have been pretty bad because
Elisha's close friends.
Yeah, Elisha said to that woman, "You better leave because there's going to be this 7-year famine." When it was over, she came back.
Okay. So verse 7. Benhadad, the king of Syria, was sick. He said to Hazael,
"Take a present to Elisha and ask him to ask God if I'll get better." So this is the same Hazael that we had before. And remember, there was something about Benhadad, and God told Elijah, not Elisha, way back in episode 142, back in 1 Kings, he told Elijah to anoint Hazael as king.
"Oh,
It's finally going to happen. After Elijah's dead, Elijah didn't do that.
Yeah.
He also said to anoint Jehu as king. That also didn't happen, but will in the next episode by Elisha, not Elijah. So it's kind of weird because God was telling Elijah to do these things, but he died, and then now it's happening.
okay." And that's Hazael.
Hazael, yeah.
Will become king.
Mm-hmm.
So Benhadad, the king of Syria, was sick. He said to Hazael, "Take a present to Elijah and ask him to ask God if I would get better."
So Hazael went to meet Elisha with 40 camel loads of gifts from Damascus.
Holy mackerel, that's a lot.
Yeah, and it's just to get an answer on whether I'm going to get better or not.
And does he get to keep the 40 camels too?
I don't know.
When he found him, he said to him, "Benhadad sent me to ask you if he'd recover from his disease."
Elisha said, "Tell him he will certainly recover, though the Lord told me he'll die."
Okay. Recover from the disease and then die, die, so that way he recovers.
Clear. But anyway, tell him he'll recover.
Okay. Then Elijah began to cry. Hazael said, "Why are you crying?"
Elisha said, "Because I know what you're going to do to the Israelites. You'll burn their cities, kill their young men, smash their children, and rip up their pregnant women."
And is he kind of blessing this act?
Well,
of
he's
his
making
actions?
him king, right? He says God's kind of making him king.
Yeah. So Elisha said to Hazael, "God told me that you will be king of Syria." Hazael returned to Benhadad and said to him, "Elijah says you'll recover."
Then Hazael took a thick cloth, dipped it in water, and smothered King Benhadad. And Hazael became king of Syria.
So he just murdered Benhadad.
Yeah, he murdered the king of Syria, and now he's going to be king, just like God said he would, I guess.
Oh yeah, one of the ways a person can become a king.
Yes, that's right.
Kill the current king.
Yeah.
Verse 16. Jehoram, this is another story, right?
Well, I actually almost left this out. There's a couple little sections here about the next 2 kings of Judah. And we've been talking mostly about Israel and Samaria here, but now we're going to talk about the kings of Judah because we have the 2 different kingdoms.
Yeah.
And there's 2 kings, and we're just going to learn a little bit about them.
Okay. Verse 16. Jehoram became the king of Judah while his father, Jehoshaphat, was still king.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, but sometimes that happens.
Uh-huh.
You have 2 kings at once.
And then we got one hiding in the wings and waiting for the other one to die.
You kind of remember with David, it was kind of like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Jehoram's wife was Ahab's daughter, so he did evil in God's sight.
Oh, so Jehoram, by marrying Ahab's daughter, did evil.
Well, either that or Jehoram's wife was Ahab's daughter. Ahab was,
Did evil in the
was
sight
bad.
of the Lord.
And so because she was his daughter, she was bad, and she made him do bad things.
Mm-hmm. So verse 19. But God didn't destroy Judah for David's sake. That David, he saves a lot of people, doesn't
Yeah.
he? After he murdered a lot of people. Okay, so one more little story.
Yeah, but Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, became king of Judah in the 12th year of the reign of King Joram of Israel.
I'm not even going to try to sort that out. The last line is, Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, became king of Judah. And he was evil in the sight of the Lord, because he was the son of a son-in-law of Ahab.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Steve,
Yeah.
for these little stories.
Yeah, it's kind of a lousy way to end this chapter, but there you go. That's what it says.
Yep, in the Bible.
Next episode, we will get to Jehu, and that will be some exciting stuff.
All right. Gotta love that Jehu, even though we don't know who he is yet. We don't have to love him.
No one should love Jehu.
Oh, okay. We'll be ready for that then.
But God does.
All right. Well, thanks again, Steve. And thanks, listeners. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.